Are we there yet?
How long until the slums, Supreme Ruler?
We're lost, aren't we?
Hey there, guys. It is your boy, Animanga, and I'm back with another What If series tournament. This one is brought to you by Night Shroud. Night Shroud wanted the terror of the Skeleton Knight to arise, and we have it. And let's start with our opening lore. After the fiasco at Robotown and Fortune Cup, everyone is on their way back to where the plot is going to be next. But then Spike runs into a boy named Sect. Yes, Sect, that he encountered a few times off screen prior to this, and after winning a turbo duel with Sect. Sect decides to try out an urban legend in the hopes of obtaining a special rare card from the legendary Skeleton Knight by performing the Sunset Salute. The Skeleton Knight is real. That's the good news. The bad news, the Skeleton Knight is real. Ah! Uh-oh. Now a colossal metal pyramid rose out of nowhere on where Sect performed the Sunset Salute, and Skeleton Knight has arrived. And chaos, both serious and quite stupid, is running amok in the slums upon his arrival. Can our heroes face off against the Skeleton Knight and his apprentice Dragoness, along with whatever weird, stupid stuff is happening at the same time in this big mess Sect accidentally made? So, that word for word is what he wanted for the opening lore, and you know what? I know very little about the 5Ds manga. I do know some about it, and I remember Jack and Callan had a match, right? I think, and Luna and Leo were like tag duelists, really dark too. Because I remember I think I did a what if with them or something. Um, but so yeah, there are, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4. Should be 36 duelists again this time. I'm sorry, not 36. It should be 30 duelists, right? Wait, no. Oh, nope. Yeah, it is 30 duelists. I was 100% wrong. Okay. 30 duelists. This is not the Fortune Cup. We only have 5 each. So we're starting with Mitchell Slaughter's 5. And this is Ronin Mizaki, the leader of a clan of ninjas that has a long-time rivalry with the monks of Chiyu Monastery. After he learned of Miyagi Chiyu's passing, Ronin decided it was time for his ninja clan to boot out the monks and take over the monastery. However, Ronin is concerned that Chiaki and the Paradox Brothers will give him and his ninjas some trouble, so he decides to confront Chiaki himself. Ronin joins the RAW as a wrestler, competing under the stage name The Shredder. Definitely not a TMNT reference, and clashes with Chiaki inside the squared circle. Is that what you meant? You meant to put squared? You put squared. Chiaki ends up beating him in their wrestling match, so Ronin retreats. He decides to wait and challenge Chiaki again later on, but to a Duel Monsters duel instead of a wrestling match. That was actually pretty accurate to the Shredder, to be honest. He does retreat a lot in the 2003 version to TMNT. Chiaki has returned yet again. After the Fortune Cup, Chiaki returned to the DRAW arena only to meet a new wrestler calling himself the Shredder, who challenged her to a wrestling match. Chiaki easily wiped the floor with him. She then returned to Neo Domino City, and heard of someone called Skeleton Knight appearing, and went to look for Skeleton Knight, only to see Shredder, whose real name she learns is Ronin Mizaki, also looking for him. Miyagi Chiyu's astral form appears and warns her that Ronin and his ninja clan, known as the Foot Clan, are old enemies of the Chiyu Monastery. Her Millennium scales start glowing, and Chiaki knows that Ronin may tip the balance of power if he isn't defeated and makes contact with the Skeleton Knight. Is Skeletonite even gonna agree to side with him, or is he gonna let him side with him? Next new character from Mitchell Slaughter, Henry Fango, or Henry Fongo. Henry is a Neptunian wielder slash metalsmith. All of the Neptunians aside from Perry and Lila return to Neptunia after the graduation tournament to visit their parents. Upon hearing about Zero Reverse, Zachary and Tiamat decide to return to Earth and bring Henry with them. Knowing his smithing skills would be a big help to all the reconstruction efforts on Earth, Henry also has a peculiar trait. He's girl crazy, but he only likes girls with hair that is red or some shade of red. For example, colors like orange, pink, strawberry, etc. Everyone in the Fango family is a redhead. They're basically Neptunian Weasleys. What? And he wants to maintain that tradition by marrying a redhead himself. Okay? He tried to flirt with Tiamat, and Zachary smacked him. Upon arriving on Earth, he tries to flirt with Alice Uriel, and Everybon punched him in the face. Oh, yeah, you don't want to do that stuff. Alice then introduced Henry to her cousin Mint, who doesn't have a boyfriend at the moment. Henry flirted with Mint, but doesn't know if she likes him. His deck reflects his line of work. Oh, now I know why you put in stuff like Gamel for him. Okay. Mint, Uriel, and yes, she does have a new pick. Mint has been looking after the Girl Scouts along with Katie Papillion, Karen Burcham, and First Lady Meredith, who has been providing funding for the Girl Scouts for a while now. Speaking of, where's Meredith? She has not been back in like centuries, Mitchell. Alice showed up at the Girl Scout Girl Scout Lodge, and introduced Mint to a fiery young Neptunian man named Henry, who immediately tried to flirt with her. Mint does think Henry is kind of a hottie, but she doesn't know if she has time for romance, as she spends most of her time on Girl Scout activities, since the Girl Scouts regularly make trips to the satellite sector to help out the poor folk there. She asks Henry to go with them to the satellite, and Henry gives her a bunch of cards to make a fire synchro deck, very specific, some of which are cards Henry himself uses in his own deck. He also cobbled together a Neptunian ray gun for her. That's why you wanted this put into the lore, Mitchell. Both to demonstrate his smithing skills and because he thought it might come in handy when she's on spy missions. He also made one for Alice Uriel, who then asked Henry to make ray guns for all of URIA, since she liked the look of them. Angela Gabriel. Angela has been working with the Girl Scouts while also providing URIA with rocket science stuff she learned from her dad. NASA hasn't done any space missions since Zero Reverse happened. Well, yeah, no one's done much of anything other than the rich people. And Victor is upset about this. Angela hasn't had time to update her deck yet, as she and her father have been working to get the NASA base in Cape Canaveral back up and running. She and her dad were eating pizza at Hannah's Pizzeria when the skeleton knight appeared, and Angela went to investigate it. She finds the ninja dude in the clawed armor that Chiaki is chasing to be really intimidating, and decides to chase after him as well. Now we're on to Jamie Gems 5. And we start with Ruby, the former toddler of games. I'm just kidding. The princess of games. Has been following around Paul through the spirit realm while making many friends with tons of dual spirits. She keeps her distance from him, noticing how he must be feeling. She finally reunites with her older brother Justice, and after goes to get some candy, but gets stopped by skeletons. Jamie does this on purpose. He like misspells the words to make me look dumb. Oh my gosh. But gets stopped by skeletons. Luckily, she has a dual spirit to help protect her. Go, Chewbone! I like Chewbone. Okay, this is a new guy. Where is he? There he is. Ronald U. Humorous. Guess who? Another clown deck user, as if we didn't already have enough. A jester, dual-tainer, who does gigs at parties for the royal family and for the Gabriel clan. The Uriels, Gabriels, Raziels, and Breezes. He has been trying to cheer Justice up during this sad time, and also attempted to be an opening act for Uriah Chan and La Petite Chevaliers. But the audience was more interested in music than clowns. So he ended his performance early. He wonders if the Skeletonite thing can make his performances even better, or even cheer up Justice, as he doesn't have a brain, does he? This guy's name is literally Skeletonite. Why do you want to approach a man like this? Okay. Justice. After seeing Diane, you mean Diana? After seeing Diana with the deck he made for her, he's ecstatic. And with cash all steamed that all of his folks lost, he was able to make it to the slums and meet up with Wild Dan. I know, in the collective's attempt to scurry after they lost track of the main man, Justice. So they met up with Wild Dan. He promises to pay him back for his hospitality when he becomes king again. He begins making plans on getting back at cash. He meets up with Paul, and he reminds Justice of someone that he may have accidentally lost. And he lost track of Ruby. Of course. His own sister. Oh, here it is. This is the collab that I wanted Jamie to do with me. He also talks. Oh, you put takes. Sorry, Jamie. He also talks with Prince Wenrong. Yes, the former prince supposed to be future emperor of China, and told him he was now under his protection. Yeah, because Wenrong's like a porcelain doll. He needs to be protected because he's very weak, as you guys have seen. He then barely had time to press his hands against his mom's glass before hearing commotion outside. He ends up being split up by others and ends up alone with Mitchie. Maid Luna returns with her crystal beasts. Maid Luna and Sky have been trying to help Justice adjust to his new temporary home. Adjust. Have we heard of periods before? Maid Luna and Sky have been trying to help Justice adjust to his new temporary home. They went out to go get some supplies for Justice's plan from the scrap guy, but on the way, they came across skeleton knights and have no choice but to duel to get through. Bring it, Skelly boys. Okay, and obviously, Sky, that's her lore as well, so she's number 10. Now, on to the next 5, which is Nightshroud's crew. The man who set up this entire tournament, Spike the Dragon. Spike was pretty worn out after the gang helped the others get out of that mess in the Fortune Cup. After they all made it back to the slums for a bit, they encountered a boy named Sect, whom they encountered in the slums quite earlier, like the start of 5Ds, aka. Sect challenged Spike to another duel after finding out he has a duel runner now. Yeah, we gotta remember, in this world, everyone pretty much has a duel runner. With Spike winning and discovering the concept of sense. It's a 5Ds manga thing, apparently. After Sect performed the Sunset Salute and totally done goofed, since Skeleton Knight is now terrorizing the slums, Spike has to face off against him and his strange dragoness apprentice. But he has strange feelings regarding the dragon Skeleton Knight is using and the darkness it is emitting. Meanwhile, Chris and the others are helping in the background. Hopefully, he said curse you character limits, rip. Hopefully nothing ridiculous is happening in this time of crisis. Smolder returns too. Smolder was celebrating with the others on the fact they all avoided the worst case scenario at the Fortune Cup and got everyone home. Though she is concerned, she couldn't find Garble and Prominence anywhere, especially wanting to tear Beatrix a new one for what she did to Garble. Well, take that up with Lego, not me. After they encountered Sect again, whom Smolder keeps butting heads with comically for some reason. It was a fun duel, but then Skeleton Knight and his strange dragoness apprentice shows up due to Sect's screw up, and now chaos is happening in the slums. As others such as Gabby is helping getting the other dragons and people, Smolder is going to try to duel more directly. Though she is feeling pretty strange with all this dark miasma. She hopes she gets more strong and not fumble. Cinder is not only eyeing Spike, but also seems to be eyeing Smolder. I'll just leave that as it is. And now we get on to the main man of the show. The big boy. You all know him as the mighty Skeleton Knight. Credit to Lego for this really good tracing and recoloring, or just coloring in general because he's from the manga, of Skeleton Knight. According to urban legend, duelists who perform the Sunset Salute, where they clap their cards together at sunset, this seemingly undead entity will appear before them and bestow upon them special rare cards. When Sect Ijuin performed it in the hopes of getting a card, since he wants to improve like Spike. It turns out Skeleton Knight is real. Now a strange metal pyramid rises in the slums and some kind of dark miasma is filling the streets. Chaos and panic ensuing as dark spirits arise. Certainly not helping the mess the slums is already in. I know the slums has got hit hard. It's like 5 hurricanes have hit the slums. Sect, you done goofed, as the knight rides around on his undead horse. A strange dragoness that appears to be his apprentice is also causing trouble. And he is armed with a dragon that contains very dark and strange powers. It appears it might not be the only dragon. He and the dragoness both seem to be eyeing Spike and the others. Can our heroes and others face Skeleton Knight's challenge? Sect Ijuin. A fun person with a thing for insects. Weevil wannabe. Though sometimes gets into arguments easily in goofy situations, like with Smolder or Gallus. Spike and the others encountered him in the slums early on when 5D's era began, and quite a bit of goofy stuff happened, such as dueling Spike but lost to the little dragon and then lost to Chris. So he's just here to lose, right? I'm telling you, the way you told me to build his deck, and he ain't gonna be losing easily. At first, he finds Spike and the other beings from Spike's world as weird, though is amazed by Ocelus being a buggo. He now sees, he would be, wouldn't he? He now sees Spike and a few others as rivals. After the gang returned to the slums after that wacky mess of the Fortune Cup, Sect challenged Spike to a duel after finding out the dragon now has a duel runner, but lost to the little fella again. But the duel was fun, and Spike discovered the concept of sense. Sect then decided to perform the Sunset Salute in hopes of the legend could give him rare cards. Unfortunately, the legend is true, but now a huge mess has happened as Skeleton Knight is running amok. Sect hopes he can fix this big mess if the memes and darkness doesn't make things even more difficult. Next new character. The Mighty Cinder, Spyro Dragon. Hold on a second. I need a drink of water, sorry. Let's go. Halfway there. a strange dragoness who appears to be some sort of apprentice of the Skeleton Knight. Her mastery over darkness, such as poison, shadow, even undeath. What does that mean? Even undeath, along with a strange dark miasma emitted by dual dragons, makes her quite a danger. She appears to have no memory of who she was when the Skeleton Knight found her and took care of her. Now, as her master terrorizes the slums area, since someone performed the Sunset Salute, and she seeks to test a certain young duelist, that's a dragon, if she isn't being annoyed by this weird guy complaining she ripped off his deck. Cue the guy constantly being sent flying across the room. Who was that to? Andy Everett. Andy was ecstatic to see Diana become queen of games and showing up all those rich jerks. So she decided to throw a celebration for her back in the slums. She's had more experience interacting with Dino than she's had with Diana. But that doesn't mean she's going to let such an accomplishment go unpraised. I mean, she is the queen of games. We got to give her credit. Unfortunately, the Skeleton Knight's emergence interrupted the celebration. And with Diana still exhausted from the tense duels of the Fortune Cup, she won't have the energy to get involved. Andy, however, is full of energy and ready to fight back against the one that dared to cause trouble in her gang's territory. Wild Dan. Wild Dirty Dan. Are you Dirty Dan? I could just see like a standoff between him and Skeleton Knight. He's such a cool guy. Such a bad dude. But responsible. With the Blast Brigade members free from the facility, Wild Dan has been able to return to leading the gang himself. Proud of the work Andy did on keeping the gang together while he was locked up. One of his first decisions after coming back was deciding to welcome Justice and his allies into the slums while they prepared to take back the crown. Albeit, Wild Dan also made a deal that later, in return, Justice will have to use his royal power to better the living conditions of the area. The Skeleton Knight has invaded his home and territory by attacking the slums, and Wild Dan isn't willing to let him get away with it. It's been far too long since he's gotten into a good old-fashioned gang war. Yeah, and this is probably close enough. Oh, my second bottle of water. Paul, have not seen him in ages since planetary alignment, right? After Victoria's death and the worlds were once again split apart, Paul hasn't been seen for some time. The others assumed he'd have wanted some space to himself after what had happened to Victoria. And they were right. This entire time, Paul was in the spirit world, mourning Victoria and trying to grieve, while at the same time having to do his best to keep the spirit world calm now that it had to return to its natural state. He hadn't fully gotten the alone time he originally planned for, but he still feels he's had enough time to want to come back to the human world and check back in with the others. Paul felt a powerful spiritual disturbance back on Earth and has arrived back to discover how much he's truly missed, so plans to make up for it by battling against the Skeleton Knight's forces. Lee Go. Upon my request, he was not going to be here, but I asked Lego, I said, can you put in Lego for this week? And he didn't, so I appreciate you, Lego. Lee has begun to look into his necklace more in an attempt to find out why it always seems so finicky, to put it lightly. He may have to try doing something about it later, but for now, the Skeleton Knight's forces understandably make it very difficult to focus on that. He has noticed the presence of something else getting involved in this conflict, something that shouldn't be here, as he requested a certain someone not come to fight. But they technically didn't. So he supposes they found a loophole. Yeah, we'll see what that's about later when we get to the end of the lore. Michi Takahashi, haven't seen her in I think even longer than Paul, or maybe not as long, but close. Transporting the tube containing Victoria's body to the slums from the castle was difficult enough with the collective's goons around. But making sure she'd stay in stable condition with such little to work with was even tougher for Michi to work out. Luckily, she managed to figure out some ways. Unfortunately for her, she didn't get much time to rest afterwards before the Skeletonites' invasion began. So she wasn't in the most patient of moods. Having her loved ones by her side managed to cool her off enough to recover her bearings. However, and as Jordan ran off, recover her bearings, however, and as Jordan ran off to help the Blast Brigade evacuate its younger members, Michi realized she was left near Justice. Justice took that time to let Michi know he does appreciate all she's doing to help. And he couldn't have asked for a better genius to be by his side. It was at that moment that Michi felt herself understanding why Jordan is so interested in Justice. Albeit, she is questioning why these conversations with her always happen during tense battles. Surely, there's better times for this stuff. Surely. Hold on a second, guys. 1 second. Okay. Now we're on to my 5. Yeah, I did my 5 before, and Serenity's is the last 5. Because they have really good creepy lore at the end I like. So we're going to start with someone who hadn't been back in a while. Prince Wenrong. Yes, the guy who was basically taken in by Trudge and become an officer, but now he's back to his old prince, ex-emperor self. Waking up and not knowing where he is, the former Chinese emperor / now prince wanders into a nearby blossom field to collect his thoughts on his journey so far. Because he was hit by the amnesia thing too. A mysterious presence drifts on by and summons a brand new deck out. There's the mysterious present. And summons a brand new deck out of nothing for Wenrong to work with. He thanks the spirit after they have a practice duel, then heads to the nearest city, which happens to be the slums, the very city Skeleton Knight attacked. Brand new character, MST, or Mist. I call him, his name is Mist. But, he just happens to have the same spelling as MST, which is Mystical Space Typhoon. But we call him Mist. It's just missing the I. Created from Novo Young's own inner demon, it takes on his traits and persona. Lee may have told Novo he can't join in the fight right now. However, that doesn't mean Novo can't bend the rules a bit and find a way to help his hero. This is the culmination of all of Novo's training so far with Lee's family. It's basically a dual spirit. So look at it as a helping hand. And now, introducing again Makora. After dispatching that fool Doof, the science experiment is just trying to have fun and be sassy while having it. That's right, Makora. Let's go, Makora. Alright, now we have another brand new character. Not. It's just the troll, SOB. Yes, your favorite troll is now unhinged. This is him in unhinged mode. After his last embarrassing defeat in front of Lee, no less, our resident sociopath stalker has come up with a brilliant conclusion. Side with Cash and the collective. Well, that didn't work out, and they kicked him out of the castle swiftly. Fine, he says. I'll side with the next baddie I see. They will surely help me annoy Lee further for my own personal joy. Of course, that baddie he comes face to face with is the gruesome Skeleton Knight. He uses his sly words and compliments on the knight, along with telling the whereabouts of Lee and the others in the slums. Skeleton Knight allows him to assist him, but is very annoyed by him. Even he's annoyed by him. That's pretty bad, right? And the last new character and the last member of my crew, General Zhao, was supposed to serve the young emperor. Instead, he led a rebellion that resulted in Wenrong's exile, being known as a dumb brute, and his brute force tactics in war. The general forgot that in order to truly rule all of mainland China, he must take the life of the emperor first, or ex-emperor. Uh-oh. And that's it for my 5. Now we're on to Serenity's 5, which actually share lore. But their 5 is Aleshi, Mitch-chan, Mayumi, Neri Chabashira, or Neri, and Serenity Wheeler. And they have really cool evil lore at the end. I like it. So let's get into it. Hold on. Team Serenity and friends meet up with Aleshi. Oh wait, wasn't it Alishi and Neri following the fortune cup? The latter yelling that she loves Lexi more. Mitch-chan and friends try to play peacemaker when the stroke of midnight chimes. They are attacked by a horde of skeletons. Mitch-chan comments that she's disappointed that there's no giant skeletons, and none of these ones are riding motorbikes. Neri tries to beat up the skeletons with her Aikido, but they keep pulling back together. Yeah, that always dang happens with the freaking skeletons. They always they're like immortal. It's annoying. Heat is fire and wind magic isn't stopping this horde either. Dang, even the charmers aren't working? That's pretty OP then. Mitch-chan's sword doesn't even work. Mitch-chan gets scared and starts muttering something. Midnight. Day 1 of a new world. Every night beyond the darkness gives more soldiers. Tonight the world will be theirs. In one single night. Their army of darkness. That's a movie. Of purity will descend upon the earth. Then there will be no more conflict, no more struggle between good and evil. There will only be evil. The world will be pure as the black void of space. Only in absolute purity can absolute beauty be found, and the only purity there is evil. Mitch-chan remembers an old prophecy she heard once as a young kid. At first she thought it was a try-hard monologue, but now she's not sure. I like that, try-hard monologue. Team Serenity gather their wits and courage to end this endless night. And that is the end of the lore. And by the way, Serenity, I forgot to tell you, Guardian Chimera is in this tournament again. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoy the tournament. Remember to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Channel's name's Animanga. See you for the tournament. Bye.